UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics and the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program are proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the high school football preview show on Mirror TV on YouTube. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons, their specialty-trained concussion management experts, and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho. To schedule an appointment at one of their offices in Hollidaysburg, Evansburg, or Bedford, call 814-889-3600.
Hello again, everybody, and a big thank you again to our sponsor, Elite Orthopedics there. Welcome to the Mirror TV on YouTube. Week 6 of high school football season. Joined again by our all-everything high school football beat writer, Mike Boydum. My name's Scott Franco. We are going to look at 6 games, but before we do, we have to talk a little bit about how the local teams have been affected by cancellations and postponements because of the coronavirus. Mike, what do you have for us on that topic?
It's been a tough week for a lot of our local teams. Bellwood Annis is not playing Mount Union. That was a big game because Mount Union was going to be in the 2A playoffs.
They were 3-1. They
were looking good, and Bellwood is near the top seed right now. They're actually at top seed, and that affected some of their decision making on whether they wanted to play a game this week, because if they would play up and lose, they could drop out of the top seeds there, because the playoffs actually start next week. I mean, that is just
the 23rd.
Crazy. Yeah, 23rd. It's crazy that the 23rd, next Friday, is going to be the first playoff games, and unfortunately, that means anybody that's quarantining for 2 weeks, starting last week, is in trouble for the playoffs. And Mount Union, it's being reported that they're not going to be entering the 2A playoffs.
Because the quarantine won't be over.
So everyone's going to move up a spot, which could benefit another team we're going to talk about later in the show, Cambria Heights. That might help them get into the playoffs. But on the other hand, teams like BG that are not playing this week against Central Cambria, it's a tough situation because they're going to need Homer Center or Conemaugh Valley to lose this week so that they can move up and get a bye, or their season could be over as far as postseason.
And they would just have regular season games.
I'm guessing they would play regular season games. It's a shame because BG could win a state title this year, and it's possible that if this breaks the way that they're hoping it doesn't, that
they need some upsets, right?
Yes, and as well as like they're hoping that they'll work this out, because when I talked to Joe Landolfi, the athletic director, he said it's an ever-changing situation. So I don't want to sit here and say, hey, if Homer Center and Conemaugh Valley both win this week, BG's not going to the playoffs. That's not official. We're not saying that, but it's a possibility, and it's really sad because these kids lost last year in the championship game, and they've been working all summer to try to get back.
And it was really nothing they did either, because we don't know who it was that tested, but it was somebody on the side, and that's where you feel bad for these kids, because a lot of these spring athletes lost sports, and a lot of us, me included, thought this would be over by fall, and it's not. And like Joe Landolfi said, every week, every day is something different. You never know what to expect.
Yeah, Homer Center's playing Purchase Line on Friday. 2 and 3 Purchase Line, Homer Center 3 and 1, I believe. Yeah. And the other game, Conemaugh Valley is hosting Keystone, who I looked up their stats. Looks like they have thrown a lot of interceptions this year, but they are 3 and 2. They beat Sheffield 86-0. Sheffield has actually shut its program down since that game. They beat Kerwinsville, which has had a decent program. So it's hard to say who will win those games.
But BG will be rooting for Keystone and Purchase Line, correct?
Yes, they will.
As they were. And before we get into our games, we just want to say, at least I want to say, sadly, we did not get a mask in the mail this week. For the first time, we did not get anything dating back to last year's when we were getting cups left and right all the time. So, this is just me, a guy, asking people out there watching to somehow give Mike and I, I'm going to Central Friday night, but we only have 2 Central things. Saturday, I am covering a Cambria Heights game, And Mike, I don't see any Cambria Heights things up here.
No.
Mike has, what game do you have Friday?
At Penn, Cambria.
Oh,
which we
Penn Cambria's already taken care of.
But we talked about Bedford.
Bedford, that's right.
We do not have anything
Bedford,
from Bedford.
you're telling me
Undefeated.
somebody from Bedford can't reach into their pocket, and I don't know if this is a violation, and give us something that we can hang on our board. That's enough on that. We're going to get to our games. Our first game we're going to talk about is Altoona 2-1 at Central Dauphin 3-0. Central Dauphin, for those of you that the one you might be able to relate to, they beat State College 35-13, I think, to open the season 2 weeks ago. Altoona's feeling good about their program. They're 2-1. What have you heard about Central Dauphin?
Well, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a tough challenge. But the good news is Altoona's going to be in the district championship game next week against either State College or Mifflin County. And this is going to be a great preparation game for them. I mean, it's hard to see much better competition than Central Dauphin right now. They have a great program. They've been on a great stretch. And to go out and beat a team like State College the way they did, I mean, that's a statement. So, Altoona just needs to keep working on the things that they've been doing well, running the football, hitting the occasional big pass play, and as long as they keep working on that type of thing, this game's only going to make them better.
Our next second game, which we were just talking about a little bit ago, Bedford 5-0 at Penn Cambria 3-2. I got this game Friday night. I'm excited to get to cover a game. A lot of offense is going to be on the field. It's going to be at some point somebody's going to have to stop somebody, and nobody's stopped Mercury Swaim and that Bedford offense and a couple other kids whose names I imagine you can remember. But Mr. Harold and Mr. Sakalis and some other people in that offense might have to match them point for point in this game.
Yeah. You didn't mention Stephen Ressler, who's also an all-state basketball player. Bedford has looked really good. They've obviously beat Richland.
That was their closest game probably. It was 27-20. They won.
Yep, beat Richland. They beat Chestnut Ridge in blowout fashion to begin the season. And Penn Cambria needs to play a little bit better defense. The past couple weeks, their defense has slipped. Coach Felix talked about their defense at the beginning of the year being greatly improved, and they were. They were moving toward the middle of the pack, the mirrors coverage area. But over the past couple weeks, they've had some tough outings, and the defense is starting to fall off a little bit. They're going to want to get that fixed up before the playoffs. But man, what a challenge against Bedford to try to play well defensively against a team that has so many weapons.
Our next game, Glendale 2-3 at Juniata Valley 3-2. Glendale's kind of in a tailspin here recently. Juniata Valley's kind of like on the uptake. I mean, do you sense Glendale has a shot in this game?
Well, Glendale is actually coming off a win last week.
I apologize. Sorry, Coach Drexler, about that. Didn't do my homework.
And I will say this is a huge game for Glendale because Juniata Valley 3-2, Glendale 2-3. Glendale beats Juniata Valley here, and they probably flip-flop in the 1A rankings. So basically what this game is the winner is probably going to be hosting a game next week, and the loser is probably going to be on the road. And Glendale was on the bottom half last year of the 1A bracket, did make the playoffs, but they had to go out to McCort and play at Johnstown, and that didn't go well for them. Their quarterback got injured in the game, and they just never mounted any offense. And Coach Drexler wants to keep moving forward as a program, and they're going to need to be able to do that. What better way to have a home playoff game to maybe get yourself a playoff victory? And it's got to start with beating Juniata Valley on Friday.
And on the road, too.
Yeah.
It would be tough. Our next game, speaking about on the road, West Branch is at Williamsburg, but they're playing the game at Holliesburg's Tiger Stadium Friday night, tonight, 7 o'clock, depends when you're watching this. Holliesburg does not have a game this week. They tried to get a game. They tried many schools to get a game, I know for a fact. So they're off this week. So Williamsburg's going to host that game. Williamsburg's got to love it. I don't know what West Branch's home field is like, but Williamsburg doesn't get to play on turf too often. And Williamsburg has a real shot at going 3-3, which I don't know how long it's been since they've been 3-3 midway through the season.
Hey, Williamsburg definitely can win this game, and furthermore, that could move them up in the standings, which Williamsburg is going to be a tough out in the District 6 1A playoffs. That's why I put this game on here. Now, I realize Williamsburg started off the season 1-3. A lot of people were like, it's just Williamsburg. that, you know, they don't have a lot of players, they're struggling. But I'm telling you, I've seen them play in person. I saw them play against Bellwood. They took the ball right down the field and scored on their first drive. This team has talent. The seniors on this team are very good, and they're going to be an extremely tough out in the District 6 1A playoffs. And if BG is a team that's not in those playoffs, it could be anybody's game. And Williamsburg could end up playing, you know, who knows? They could play for district title. Any of these teams have to be feeling right now. If BG, the favorite, is not in the field, they got to feel good about their chances.
And they just got to stay healthy, because I imagine they only have probably like 25, 28 kids maybe.
That was the key. Again, last week against Claysburg-Kimball, they got a lot of kids back healthy. Wansley played for the first time since they beat Juniata Valley. And their Coach Heilman said they're getting healthy at the right time. So as long as they get through this week healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs.
And now that next game, which we're going to lead to, I'm going to ask Mike right, is Portage a 1A school?
Yeah,
so Portage is one of those teams that Williamsburg might be going. Portage is 4-0. They're hosting a 5-0 Berlin Brothers Valley team. And I know I think I'm the only one to pick Portage, but Berlin's really good.
Berlin's
I know
really good.
Berlin used to play Holliesburg in junior high when my boys were at Holliesburg Junior High. So, and Berlin's not afraid to play big people. But this is I think John Hartsock has this game for the mayor. But this looks like a great matchup on paper.
Berlin's tough. They beat Portage last year, 21-13. Portage had a couple other really good players last year, and they've kind of transitioned into a different type of team this year. Portage throws the ball more. Andrew Myko, their quarterback, has been added another dimension to Portage, because we always know Portage as a dominant running team. But they've been really passing the ball a little bit more this year. Caden Clore is a threat to get the to catch a long pass for a touchdown. And Portage is going to need a couple of those quick strikes. But you know, right now they're at the top of Class 1A. And if they do lose, they're probably going to be able to stay up there and still get a bye week the next week in the playoffs. But Portage is still going to play. They're going to go ahead and continue on with their regular season. So, but they won't be playing a playoff game next week, regardless of whether they win or lose this game, because they're going to be getting a bye in the first round.
Read off the top of your head without the top four right now in single AR, who have the buys if the season ended today?
If it ended today, we got Portage, then you got Homer Center and Marion Center and Conemaugh Valley.
So it's almost like a Heritage Conference or Westpac. It's a Westpac.
Yeah, Marion Center is actually at number 2 and Homer Center is number 3. You know what? Actually, Penn's Manor. Sorry,
okay.
I've got my Heritage Conference teams mixed up there. But yeah, Penn's Manor's up. Marion Center's a 2A team.
Okay.
So yeah, Penn's Manor and I'm not sure. I'm sure if you get our paper, you saw what happened with last week with Bishop Carroll when they played Penn's Manor, 74.
And it was 50-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
something that bad. Our last game we're talking about, another game. I'm excited because I get to cover this game Saturday night. I get to go to the new field out in Patton. Cambria Heights 2-3, hosting a 1-4 Bishop McCort. And if you looked at our paper earlier this week, a lot of people picking McCort, but Heights, I'm looking forward. This is a team that likes to run the ball. Yep. Coach Lewis, I imagine they haven't changed much. They're still a team that likes to run the ball. Good shot at beating McCort. Or is this McCort team better than 1-4?
Well, McCort's coming off a win over Central Cambria, which opened a lot of people's eyes.
Because I know, we all picked Central Cambria.
Yeah, and the Cambria Heights is right now at the number 9 seed at an 8. There's 8 teams that make the playoffs in 2A, and Heights is at number 9. But it looks like Mount Union's going to drop out, so that would move Heights into the number 8 spot. And that would actually could set up a rematch of them against Bellwood
from
and
last
they
year.
played last year in the playoffs, and it went right down to the wire. So that would be an intriguing matchup if they end up playing each other. But Heights would love to win this game.
If they win, does that move up even more?
It's possible.
Okay.
So they would love to win this game and move up a little bit more and really solidify themselves, because Penns Valley is also down there, and if Penns Valley would upset Central, say, they could pass Cambria Heights. So to secure a playoff spot, they're going to want to win this game, and they'll have a better idea of what they need to do since they're playing on Saturday and there's the games on Friday. But to come out on top in this one, they're just going to have to contain the skill players for McCort, because they've been getting a lot out of, like, Griffin LaRue. He's
who's the kid with the cool name? The Jean Jacquet? Is he still?
No, Jean Jacquet is gone.
Oh, he could have been our cool name segment. Man.
Yeah,
he's gone.
No, McCort has some really talented players, and they're going to have to contain those guys. And the Highlanders are going to have to get something out of Haluska, who has been running the ball pretty well this year.
Real quick, to tie up some loose ends before we go here. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, Elite Orthopedics, and I have to get a plug there because Dr. Malloy, one of the specialists there, he's seeing my son this week. My son's got shoulder problems, and just not to say to go there because they're our sponsor, but he played football, so he knows if you take your kid there and your kid's got injuries from football, he understands it because he knows, he has had those experiences. So you might really want to check it out if your kid's, hurting somewhere. From a football injury or any injury. And before we go, Mike's favorite part of the show that I don't know if he's rolled his eyes yet, I'm just going to have to watch it on the replay, but our cool name segment, we're going to do it right. This week, 2 kids from Glendale made it. Can't believe I never saw these names before. Boston Bloom, and hopefully Michael correct me if I say this wrong, Bane Sealhammer, who is one of the leading receivers.
Oh, we're going to talk about football?
We're going to talk about football.
Oh, okay.
Is he the leading receiver?
He has the most yards. Damon Grip has a few more receptions than him, but he has the most yards. Okay. I return to you talking about
There
football.
you go. So anyways, Bane Sealhammer, which makes me sit there and think, I would think Spank Trexler would just run the ball more. But hey, if the kid's talented, because he's got a great name, throw him the ball more. But those are our 2 new additions to our cool name segment. And hopefully next week we'll have some even more cool names to add to the show. But for Mike Boydum, my name's Scott Franco. Again, thank you to Elite Orthopedics for sponsoring us. And we will see you guys again next week.